Story 3, Unveiled, Chapter 2, Love and Fate. Sunlight spilled into a tiny puddle on the sidewalk. Kylie, humming a bubbly tune of Nobody by the famous K-pop girl band Wonder Girls, knelt close to it, her twig gently stirring the water, utterly lost in its simple, innocent magic. Dexter turned from the door, a smile touching his lips as he remembered his mom and dad singing and dancing along to that very song during their weekend karaoke nights. Not intendedly to cut her moment, he called her out.
Come on, Kylie, let's get going.
He then approached their car and unlocked the passenger door. Kylie stood up, letting the twig fall into the puddle. She then dashed to the car, still humming, spraying her hands with sanitizer before buckling her seatbelt, just as Dexter began to open their front gate. As he drove her from their house to school, Kylie continued humming the chorus of Nobody over and over. With small, enthusiastic hand gestures, she mimicked their parents' funny dance moves. Dexter caught this out of the corner of his eye. Soon, the bubbly, infectious rhythm had thoroughly taken hold of Dexter's bones. He found himself humming, his fingers tapping on the steering wheel, then surprised himself by singing the chorus, his out-of-tune voice contrasting with Kylie's sweet tune. He even dared to attempt some of the dance moves, his arms flailing around like branches in a strong wind, nearly knocking his own head with a particularly enthusiastic swing. Kylie dissolved into lively, delightful giggles, holding her stomach with laughter. Her eyes, shining with pure amusement, met his and then, without missing a beat, she belted out the next verse right alongside him, turning the car into their own private, joyful concert. The ecstatic show ended in hilarity and saccharine moments as the car grew quiet after he dropped Kylie off at school, the lively cadence of their song dissolving into stillness as she departed. There's a familiar quietness that lingered with Dexter as he drove towards the boarding house, a silence that was fogging his mind for weeks. Upon arriving, the door of his boarding house room closed behind him, sealing him into his own solitude. He let out a long, low breath. The atmosphere in the room became a stretch of utter serenity, its walls never knowing the cheerful effervescence of his parents' laughter. So, he spent his days in his boarding house room, a solitary digital artist working online. Later that day, a knock on the door jerked Dexter, pulling his concentration from his digital canvas. His stylus froze mid-air.
Yeah, who is it?
Burst from him. His voice sounded abrupt due to the unexpected interruption.
Dexter, it's me, Albert. I need to talk to you.
Albert called from behind the door. As Dexter's landlord and a man managing multiple small businesses, Albert was a rare sight at the boarding house. Typically, his caretakers kept an eye on the property, ensuring everything remained well organized, spotless, and that boarders settled their monthly rent. However, they were under strict instructions never to disturb Dexter's privacy within his room. That prerogative belonged solely to Albert. This wasn't due to Dexter's elevated status, but rather Albert's expressed respect for Dexter's private way of processing his grief. Dexter immediately stood up, walked away from his desk, and opened the door.
Yes, sir.
Dexter asked.
Dex, might you be open to the idea of a roommate?
Albert's question, delivered with a glow in his eyes, drew Dexter's attention to the two people a few paces behind his landlord.
You occupy this space solely by day. He could easily sleep in by night.
Dexter, with a swift, assessing glance from the taller man to the woman at his side, returned to Albert. He gave him a genuine smile, unforced and light.
Certainly, sir. No concern at all.
He extended a hand, palm open in invitation. Albert's laugh deepened as he accepted the handshake. Then, with a flourish, gestured to the pair.
Dexter, this is Mark and Grace. Mark will be your new roommate.
Albert's grip on Dexter's hand softened before he released it. His eyes, A light with a kind balminess signaled Mark and Grace forward. They approached with composed, leisurely polish. Mark's hand met Dexter's in a handshake that spoke of immediate, inaudible understanding, strong and without reluctance.
Nice to meet you, Mark.
Nice to meet you, Dexter, and thank you.
Grace offered a small, nimble dip of her head, a wordless display of her deep appreciation for Dexter's unexpected kindness. He returned her gesture with a sincerely wholehearted smile of his own.
So, I'll leave you three kids here. I've got matters to attend to,
Albert declared, a light tap on both Dexter's and Mark's shoulders accompanying a trusty, expressive look to each.
And, Dex, do you mind telling them the ground rules of the place? I really need to go.
A chorus of thanks and goodbyes followed him as he made his swift exit toward the main door of the boarding house. Dexter, with an easy swing of his arm, ushered Mark and Grace into the room. He walked them through the house rules, painting a clear picture. Albert, for all his jolly demeanor and easygoing ways, kept a tight ship and could be as fierce as a dragon when his rules were bent. Mark readily assented to the stipulations, but a flicker of puzzlement crossed his face at the sight of a lone bed. A friendly mien appeared on Dexter's face, intended to lighten any remaining concern.
Don't fret,
He insisted. He kept the bed spotless daily, a small ritual, despite never actually resting upon its sheets. He gesticulated to the spot where they sat, a nonverbal explanation that the bed was merely for show. Mark's unyielding curiosity eventually compelled him to lean slightly forward, searching for Dexter's answers.
I confess, I'm a bit curious.
He began, a slight tilt to his head.
If you clean the bed daily but never sleep on it, and you're only here during the day, why is that?
Dexter, without missing a beat, explained his routine. He said that he was just a daylight resident, departing promptly at 3 p.m., 5 days a week, to get his sister from school and head for home. Grace, her interest now fully piqued, carefully broached the unusual schedule.
Dexter, if you don't mind me asking, but your routine seems quite specific. Only here by day. May I ask why that is?
Dexter simply offered a small, polite smile, a discreet curtain descending. It was too personal to lay bare, but the truth is, a deep ache excavated within his chest. To stay long at their old house was to walk through a gallery of cherished moments, each corner holding a trace of their parents' presence, and the morning that followed was simply too boundless to confront alone. Mark and Grace, exchanging an instantaneous glance of understanding, quickly murmured their apologies for trespassing.
No worries, guys. No harm done.
Dexter said, dismissing their concerns with a careless wave of his hand. Before noon, Mark and Grace, their gratitude apparent, departed the boarding house, promising to return on Saturday with Mark's belongings. Dexter accompanied them to the main door, offering a final wave as they disappeared from sight. He then turned, heading back to his room to resume work on his current task. Kylie's day at school finally ended. Dexter was already en route to fetch her when his phone vibrated, her teacher's name lighting up the screen. An unexpected, unfriendly sensation coursed through his veins, an anomaly that demanded immediate attention. He answered promptly. The teacher's voice, threadbare with panic, dropped through the speaker. She said that in Kylie's mid-stride, as she passed the classroom's threshold, Kylie's limbs unexpectedly ceased to support her. By pure luck, a classmate at her side intervened with alacrity, cushioning her descent before she could hit the solid ground. A convoluting feeling tightened within Dexter, forcing his foot to fuse with the accelerator. He sharply announced his imminent arrival to the receiver. The teacher's report, delivered with worrying precision, laid bare the grave reality. Kylie was being rushed to the clinic. She remained unresponsive. An ambulance, she added, had already been dispatched. Dexter Dexter's steadfastness to focus fractured. There is a cold sweat slicking his skin, and his extremities begin an uncontrollable spasm. And the teacher's assurance of Kylie's safety under her watch offered a mere improvement of succor against the increasing tumult of his internal uneasiness. The vehicle screeched to a halt at the school. The sight of the ambulance struck him. A familiar feeling spread through him. The same sensation that had lingered after another goodbye. His heart milled against his ribs. He was gasping for air. His fist gritted as he fought his negative thoughts.
Control it. She is fine. Control it. She is fine.
He charged toward the clinic, but even before his hand touched the door opened and his stare latched onto Kylie. She vulnerably sat in a wheelchair, a paramedic guiding her forward. A relief sheathed him as he saw her conscious. He closed the gap quickly and questioned her about her current condition. She offered a feeble smile, a slight disposition of her head, and her hand, a friable ease, reached for his. The paramedic's query regarding his guardianship was met with Dexter's worried confirmation of his familial bond.
I am her brother. May I ask how she is?
Followed by his own demand about their destination. The paramedic's look remained blank, a calmness as he replied.
She collapsed suddenly, and we need to find out why. The doctors at the hospital will give her a thorough examination to understand the cause and make sure she gets the best care.
Will she be all right?
Dexter's query grated from him, his fingers fastening resolutely onto Kylie's delicate hand. He felt his own hand's uncontrollable vibration. Then, quite unexpectedly, he sensed a subtle return squeeze from Kylie.
I'm fine, brother. Okay?
She exhaled, her tone barely noticeable. Yet each word carried an integral resilience that never ceased to astonish him. The paramedic, who had been watching their tender exchange, offered a reassuring smile.
Your sister is incredibly tough, truly,
he said warmly.
There's no need to worry. For now, let's just hold on to hope and believe this is nothing more than a small bump in the road. She's in good hands, and we'll make sure she gets all the care she needs to bounce back even stronger.
For a brief moment, the paramedic's words calmed Dexter, slowing his racing heartbeat and offering a sliver of comfort. Yet, this fleeting sense of relief was quickly overshadowed by the impenetrable mist of worry that suspended over him. Kylie was the last pillar of support in a world that had already stripped so much from him. The thought of losing her now, so soon after his parents, broke him, a fresh wound tearing open once more. It wasn't just heartbreaking. He simply knew he'd never forgive himself. This thought, an ominous shadow, felt like a looming death sentence. If you liked our short story, please hit the like button. If you want more of our original short stories, subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on Facebook. That's it for now, fellow night owls. Until next time, good night, sleep tight, keep the mirror out of your sight.